Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today is the second week of March, and guess what? It's my it's my birthday. It's my birthday. In fact, yesterday was my birthday, and for celebration, I had more fun. We had a big party here at the Roland Martin Marina. I had my son Scott, and my wife Judy, and Laura, my daughter, and all sorts of grandchildren. We just had a great time. Uh, my ex-wife Marianne actually has interest in this marina as well. She's been kind of ill, and she was there. She had a birthday as well, so it was a combination: a Marianne birthday, my ex-wife, my birthday, and also my daughter Laura and David had gotten married on my birthday, so it was an anniversary party as well. So it was just a really, really good time. But anyway, the fishing was good too. Let me tell you about the fishing. Well, a couple days ago, I'd heard that this Harney Pond Canal was a really good spot to fish. In fact, the big Elite Series win was there on a Harney Pond Canal as well. And so we launched there at the launch ramp. We took off. It was Sunday or Monday, and we pulled over to the rocks just to the right, made a couple casts, caught a small bass, and another boat came up to us, and it went to the other side. And the first cast the guy made, just the very first entire cast he made, bam, he catches an 8.5 pound bass on the very first cast, the biggest fat fish of his entire life. He's screaming and hollering. He said, "Hey, Roland, look at this one." And it's just a big time deal, and we all celebrated that. And so then I had a guide party that day, and we were using some shiners as well. But basically what we did, we caught a few of the fish that day on the Harney Pond Canal. We caught about 25 bass. And how we caught them was we took the Spro Pop 80. You've seen that little bone-colored Spro Pop 80 that I use so much? We threw that on a casting rod with a 50-pound line. We'd throw it right to the edge of the rocks and work it real slow. That accounted for a couple good fish. And then we also took a worm, just a regular sticko from Bass Pro Shop on a 4/0 EWG hook, a little bitty 1/16 of an ounce weight. We'd throw it right at the edge of the rocks and just kind of shake it down through there. And bam, we caught a couple of up to 5 pounds. Our big fish, however, hey, you've seen me talk about the shiners. You know that day in and day out, the shiner is going to be the big producer of a big fish. And so that's kind of what happened that day. We did catch one almost 7 pounds on a big shiner. And it was so funny because the woman in the boat, the guy's wife, had not ever caught a big fish. In fact, the biggest fish she had ever caught was about 2 pounds. And she catches this one over 6 pounds. And she's just elated. So that was really, really a good trip. Now, I'd heard also good reports last week about the Everglades. Now, what we have in the Everglades is down around Holliday Park and Sawgrass Recreational Area and that L28 canal and L67 and all these big canals that run to the south down to 41. There's about 300 or 400 miles of canals to fish. And there's launch ramp facilities on much of the canals. And so you go down, we went down to Holliday Park, and we launched this boat, the regular bass boat, in Holliday Park, made about a 15-mile run down the canal south, down towards Highway 41, and we started fishing. It's lined with lily pads. Now, the water's real low in the Everglades right now, which is a good thing. What happens, it concentrates the 2.5 million acres of water that some bass are in, 2.5 million acres of water. It concentrates many of those fish in those canals. Like I say, there's a couple 100 miles of canals, and there's not only largemouth bass, but there's peacock bass as well. We didn't target the peacock. We weren't after them. But some of the guys go after the peacock, and they get to be 5 or 6 pounds down there as well. So anyway, we started off the day, and it was kind of an overcast morning. Early in the morning, I said, let's try the Spro Pop 80 again. That's such an early morning bite. And so right away, bam, 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 we're catching the first cast the guy makes of the Spro Pop 80, the very first one, he throws it across the canal, not in a particularly good spot. He moves it a little bit, bam, a 3-pounder gets it. And that was just the start of the day. Actually, as the day got longer, it got a little bit harder to catch fish around 11 or 12 o'clock. And I was saying, I don't know if they're going to continue to bite a topwater plug. But what I've told you before, you need 3 or 4 things for topwater fishing. You need a fairly calm water. Okay, that was one of the deals. You need fairly clear water. That was the other part of the deal. And you need warm water, like, you know, in the 70s. But what you also need is some cloud cover or some lower light. And just about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the clouds like you see now, they kind of really got kind of thick. and it got overcast. And right away, I make a cast of the lily pads. Bam, almost a 7-pounder gets it. Another one, we got another 5. We got another, and it was a really good day. Caught 30 bass, and that was a trip to the Everglades. Well, yesterday we had another trip, and the guys didn't want to go to the Everglades. They said, "Well, let's just go to the north end of Lake Okeechobee," and it just didn't work out right. I can't tell you the problem right now. They're lowering the lake because they want to get some weed restorations back into shape, and they want to get the hydrilla growing back on Lake Okeechobee, and they want to get the eelgrass and the peppergrass to grow, and that's going to take low water. So they're dropping the lake on purpose. And my son Scott has talked to Governor DeSantis, and he's agreed to help put some of the $50 million restoration money for South Florida into the Lake Okeechobee pockets as well, and try to get Lake Okeechobee back into shape with good weed growth. And so that's kind of our goal. But anyway, yesterday was just kind of a tough day. You know, we caught about a dozen or so pretty good bass, up to about 4 pounds, and we missed 2 or 3. One broke the line. It would have been a trophy for the guy. This one guy did catch his biggest fish ever. He had that 4-pounder was his biggest fish, so he was really happy. Even though a 4-pounder to me is not a really big trophy, it might not be to you, but for him it was just a wonderful thing. And so he was really happy, and everybody was enjoyed themselves. See, it depends on where they come. When I ask my guide parties, sometimes I'll say, "Sir, where are you from?" These guys were from Chicago, and they hadn't really caught a lot of bass in Chicago, not a lot of big bass. So it really worked out good, that the fact that we didn't catch a trophy. But there are trophies down here to be caught, and it is a full moon, but for whatever reason, they had just spawned, and they'd left the beds, and so there wasn't a big spawn going on yesterday. So tomorrow, I think I'm going to probably do a couple things. I'll probably go back down to the Everglades and try some of the peacock bass for tomorrow. But here we are. I will tell you another thing that's happening right now in Clewiston. There's the Sugar Fest. The U.S. Sugar has Sugar Fest, and people have parked all the way to our marina here. From about a mile away is the Sugar Fest, and there's tens of thousands of people there. It's just, we already walked through it, and this morning early, and there was a couple thousand people there when it first opened. And so now it's so crowded that every single side street in the whole town is just full of parked cars. And there's police presence everywhere, a lot of good security, and it's quite a deal. There's a big concert tonight, and it's just Sugar Fest is all what it's about. How much time do we have? 2 minutes? 2 more minutes. Okay. Well, you know what I try to do when I ask how much time is left. I like to get like 10 minutes going because it's just a thing with algorithms. When we get that's what they want. They want a 10-minute deal for the what's happening in Roland. Okay, what's happening this week is next week is the Blastmaster Classic. My son Scott's qualified this year by winning the tournament last year. He won the U.S. one of the Opens, the Eastern Open division. In fact, he won Angler of the Year on the Eastern Open side, with a big win here at Okeechobee, and also a really good third-place finish at Toledo Bend. It put him in the lead for that whole division. And so he's qualified for the Classic. And they're going to have the Classic at Ray Roberts in Dallas. And so I'll be flying out there in a couple days, helping with all that with Jimmy Houston. I'll see Bill Dance, of course. My good buddy Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shop will all be there. But anyway, I'm just we really had a good time. You know, I'm back here at the back of the boat. I'm just kind of looking around. These power poles are so important. So often we just have to get a good solid anchor, particularly when you're shiner fishing. Now I got the spot lock up front, and the power pole also has what they call an anchor mode for the trolling motor. And I have a little fob I wear around my neck, so if I'm in deep water, I can just hit the anchor mode, and that holds us pretty good. But the back of the boat does swing around in the wind. But with the power poles, it's pretty much solid. So that's a really big deal. We also used, I'll tell you another thing we did with the worms that was so effective. We'd take the worm, which was like a green pumpkin series, and we'd dip it in the spiket dye. That was just a real good thing. It gives it good smell, and it gives that good chartreuse, little bright color as well. But the big thing was each morning that we went out this last week, it was cold and chilly. And I wear frog togs just for the simple reason that it breaks the wind. And so when you're running a 50-mile-an-hour bass boat, or 60-mile-an-hour, 70-mile-an-hour, you need some protection from that cold, damp wind early in the morning. And so that's a big part of it. But anyway, I want to thank you all for watching my YouTube, and and we really have a really great thing going. I try to give you the updates of the week, and that's what this is. Updates are for the second week of March. It's just also turkey season, and I love it really well. So I tell you, folks, if you would, it's so important to hit that likes button because that's the engine, that's the grease that makes all the sponsors happy. They just love it when I have a whole bunch of likes. And so if you would just accommodate me and just hit that likes button, and we'll all be happy. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. I'll give you another good update soon. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.